This is 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV for Friday, November 3rd, 2023. I'm Derek Gilbert. It's our Friday 5, the 5 big stories of the week as we head into the weekend. Topic number 5 this week, of course, Israel and what comes after Hamas. That's this conversation that's already being held, reportedly, between the White House and Israel. No doubt other world capitals, world leaders having the same conversation. The U.S. and Israel, according to Bloomberg News this week, reportedly having discussions on what will be made of the Gaza Strip. What happens to Hamas if the Israeli army, the IDF, is able to root out, I should say, the terror infrastructure of Hamas in Gaza? There are 3 potential solutions that Bloomberg reported on that have been discussed. First, a multinational force that may include U.S. soldiers. A second option, a peacekeeping force modeled on the one that enforces and monitors the peace treaty agreed to in 1979 by Egypt and Israel. And the third, Gaza put under temporary UN oversight. We'll see what happens. It's still early days. Reportedly this week, also the Biden administration looking at who will succeed Benjamin Netanyahu. It's reported that President Biden doesn't think that Netanyahu is going to survive politically after the war. Also this week, we learned Customs and Border Protection issued a memo last week obtained by the Daily Wire that there is a threat of Hamas operatives entering the U.S. through our porous southern border. This should be no surprise, as there are some 10 million, or rather 7 million illegals that are in the United States since January of 2021. But there is also another 1.5 million gotaways, known gotaways, who were observed by Customs and Border Protection but not apprehended. And then we have to guess at how many crossed the border and just were not observed at all. Something like 10 million people who have crossed the border into the United States illegally since Joe Biden took office in January of 2021. And this includes hundreds that are known to be on the terror watch list. Also this week on Wednesday night, Vice President Kamala Harris announced a new White House initiative to combat Islamophobia. Apparently, it is believed by those inside the White House that it is a priority to protect Muslims in America against potential blowback after the deadly Hamas terror attack in Israel on October 7th. Harris said there is an uptick in anti-Islamic hate crimes, that Muslims in the United States have suffered a disproportionate number of hate crimes. This is observably and statistically untrue. Actually, it is Jews that have suffered a disproportionate uptick in hate crimes since October 7th. What makes this worse is that this was released the same day, Wednesday, as a spokesman for Hamas in an Arabic language interview told a television reporter, quote, "We will repeat the October 7 massacre time and again, 1 million times if we need to, until we end the occupation," end quote. And the interviewer asked to clarify the occupation of Gaza, and the Hamas spokesman said, no, the occupation of Israel. In other words, they will not stop until Israel is eliminated. Tone deaf does not capture the White House initiative here. This is not Harris misreading the room. This was Vice President Harris flipping off the room. This administration is the worst in my lifetime and quite possibly the worst in American history. Meanwhile, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey is in the Kazakh capital of Astana, that's Kazakhstan, for the 10th summit of the heads of state of the Organization of Turkish States. According to a statement from Turkey's Directorate of Communications, the 2-day summit is being held under the theme Turk Time. Turk Time. We've been keeping an eye on the pan-Turkic movement for a long time. Turkish peoples occupy a large swath of territory from Xinjiang province, the Uyghurs, in western China, through, of course, Turkey. And this has been ongoing for years, growing for years. President Erdogan has dreams of restoring the caliphate. Remember, the Ottomans who established the Ottoman Empire, the caliphate, were Turks. Topic number 4, all over but the shouting. That would be Ukraine, where they are now admitting that Ukraine not only hit a wall with its vaunted counteroffensive, but the counteroffensive has failed. This is according to Commander-in-Chief General Valery Zaluzhnyi. In an interview with The Economist magazine in the UK, he acknowledged that the NATO textbook really didn't help them much. They figured that it would take about 4 months to recover the Crimean Peninsula, which Russia has held since 2014, has annexed since 2014. They didn't get close to Crimea, sadly. Last month, Russia's President Vladimir Putin just said flat out the counteroffensive over the summer has failed. Not a stalemate, it has failed. And sadly for Ukraine and President Volodymyr Zelensky, it appears now that his war has been pushed to the back burner by the Israel-Hamas conflict, which means he's going to be forced, in my view, I predict anyway, he will be forced to accept a very bitter peace agreement. Topic number 3, subpoenas for the Bidens. Representative James Comer, Republican from Kentucky, head of the House Oversight Committee, says the deeper his committee gets into their investigation of the Biden family finances, the more it's coming out about influence peddling, a racket run by the Biden family. According to Comer, no one knew when we started this investigation there were 20 shell companies. No one knew that now 10 Bidens have received money from the influence peddling scheme. No one knew that these shell companies had dozens and dozens of bank accounts in each shell company. No one knew about the $200,000 wire from the healthcare company to Jim Biden, the president's brother, that went to Joe Biden. We now know that Joe Biden benefited, and that's because we continue to receive bank documents that we've subpoenaed. Democrats defending the president went from there's nothing to see here to, okay, the Bidens were influence peddling, but Joe didn't know anything about it. But according to Representative Comer, we now know that's untrue because the president was actually getting checks. The question is why this is coming out now. If the deep state wanted to protect Joe Biden, it probably could. For example, where are the 33,000 emails that Hillary Clinton illegally deleted from her illegal private email server? No one knows. They will never see the light of day. Hillary being protected. Joe Biden, not so much. I think this is a way the deep state is gently pushing Joe towards the exit and trying to come up with a plan B for the Democratic nomination in 2024. Topic number 2, safer streets. We learned this week about California's, Safer Streets program, which, like the Safer Streets program in Baltimore, is resulting in more dangerous streets with more open and brazen efforts to break what used to be the law. The FBI raided the Safer Streets program in Baltimore last week because it looks like they've been taken over by a street gang. In Los Angeles, it has made it nearly impossible for police to get sex workers off the streets, some of them who look very young. The image on the screen behind me from the New York Post article about the Safer Streets initiative, a little risque perhaps, but this was the least offensive of the 9 images accompanying the New York Post article. According to the Post, a 40-block area, that's an 8-mile stretch, a 5-mile stretch rather, a 5-mile stretch of Figueroa Boulevard in South Los Angeles has essentially become an open-air sex market, and there's nothing, because of the California law, that cops can do about it. At least there's some pushback. Some 29 cities in Los Angeles County are now filing a lawsuit against Los Angeles County because of its new zero bail policy that went into effect October 1st. A new study comparing California repeat offenders who posted bail with those who were let out with low or no cost bail, in other words, no penalty for being arrested, found that those in the latter group, those who posted little or no bail, reoffended more often, more quickly, and were accused of 200 times more violent crimes. This is what happens when, as Elon Musk pointed out this week, when you've got a wealthy man like George Soros funding the campaigns of very liberal district attorneys. You don't need to start from the top down. You just need to change how the laws are enforced at the local level. Don't even worry about changing the laws. Just change which ones are enforced. You fundamentally restructure civilization. Musk is not wrong. Coming up, consent from the dead. I'll explain next on the Friday Five.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure you know how you can get your copy of this incredible new book in the Before Genesis Master Collection. When you order the Before Genesis Master Collection from the SkywatchTVStore.com, you'll receive the brand new book, Before Genesis, The Unauthorized History of Tohu, Bohu, and the Chaos Dragon in the Land Before Time by Dr. Thomas Horn and Donna Howell. In this phenomenal new work, you'll learn about the debate raging between the Old Earth and the Young Earth creationist groups, what the Earth was like during the without form and void era of Genesis 1-2, how ancient archaeological sites like Göbekli Tepe and the doorway of the serpent point to an intelligent race of beings on Earth alive before the time of Adam and under Lucifer's fallen influence. And for the first time ever, the conclusion to the events of Genesis that merges all contributing voices from not only the young and old creationist groups, but the scientific community as well, into one balanced and agreeable climax. But that's not all. You'll also receive the amazing DVD, What Lies Beneath, The Lost Secrets of the Watchers Below Göbekli Tepe, featuring archaeologist and author Dr. Aaron Judkins and best-selling author Derek Gilbert as they reveal Göbekli Tepe's historical use as a place of watchers worship, the evidence of a cult that venerated human skulls and reptilian creators, and the links between the god of Göbekli Tepe and the Bible. Also included in this must-have master collection are the digital, downloadable e-book versions of the Earth's earliest ages, Unearthing the Lost World of the Cloud Eaters, and the Apocrypha, including the Book of Enoch. These 3 masterpiece works will be available for download immediately when you place your order for the Before Genesis Master Collection and are being included in this offer absolutely free. All of these items hold a retail value of over $85. Yours now for your donation of only $35 plus shipping and handling. So don't delay. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Before Genesis Master Collection right now.
Item number 1 on the Friday Five, as we've said on this program a number of times, we appear to be running out of things to protest. The latest now is protecting the dead from being violated. Seriously, this latest argument against the use of human skeletal remains in research and teaching proposes that the only ethical treatment of the skeletal collections is to treat the dead like the living. In other words, get consent from the dead before you display their skeletons or analyze them for research, analysis, perhaps even, forensic pathology. Researchers examining the remains of the dead, according to these protesters, this is spreading through academia, should be required to follow the same ethical guidelines as medical researchers who conduct their work on living people. In other words, you got to get consent forms from the dead. The Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian, the epitome of, learning, research, museums here in the United States, took down their website called Written in Bone. It explored ways that anthropologists looked at 17th century residents of the area around Chesapeake Bay, which include colonists, African slaves, European immigrants, because it had come to their attention that they had no consent forms from the people featured in the website. People who died more than 300 years ago. Seriously, researchers claim that, protesters claim researchers should be forced to comply with HIPAA laws. Those are the same laws that protect your medical records from being shared with anyone and everyone. Henceforth, apparently, archaeologists, anthropologists, forensic pathologists will need to use mediums to contact the spirits of the dead and get consent. Which, of course, we know doesn't work because God does not allow that kind of communication. They'd be talking to demons, but that's the logical conclusion from this, this latest bit of insanity to come out of academia. Well, we're wrapping up our 6-week investigative series on the book Before Genesis. Was there a rebellion before what happened in the garden? Donna Howell is the author of the new book. She joins us alongside Dr. Tom Horn, his last series of programs recorded with us on Skywatch TV. It's available now at our website, skywatchtv.com, the Roku and Apple TV channels. You can also see it right now at YouTube. The YouTube channel for the main program, youtube.com Skywatch TV now. I almost said at 5 and 10. That's our YouTube channel. Rumble.com/Skywatch TV, or better yet, our free mobile app where you can download to your smartphone or tablet and get immediate access to all of our archives there. Also, news updates 3 times a week, even a Bible with multiple an audio Bible, no less, with multiple translations and more. It's available for iOS, Android, and Amazon Kindle Fire phones and tablets. The best way to stay in touch with us because it guarantees we'll never get canceled. So you'll find links to the app stores at skywatchtv.com. Thank you for watching as we keep watch, and have a blessed weekend. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.